The Crookston Housing and Economic Development Authority Advisory Committee, they met Tuesday morning to discuss the first two invoices related to the air permitting and environment assessment worksheet for Epitome Energy. Along with those invoices, the committee also received information that the Department of Agriculture grant of $1 million to Epitome Energy would have a 4-to-1 match rather than the 1-to-1 match they had previously indicated. The two invoices for permitting were $23,350 for Wank Associates and $25,000 for Sunday Engineering. Cheetah Board President Kurt Helstab said it was important for the advisory committee to review and approve the invoices as well as consider the change in leverage with the matching dollars.
In the last few weeks, we've discovered that it's not a 1-to-1, it's a 4-to-1. So when that was discussed at Cheetah, and I said, you know what, I want to move this to my advisory board to make sure they know what's all going on. And we had great discussion today with my advisory board and many other people, a few other council members, and Dale Stainbrook, acting now mayor. We did have a couple invoices for totaling $50,000 that they'd already started on the air putting and all that. My advisory committee now will recommend to Cheetah to go ahead and pay those bills to keep the process going, and then any further bills come to the advisory committee, and we'll see how we're going to continue to move forward on that. But we got to keep this moving forward.
Epitome Energy will accumulate the rest of the grant by using funds from their equity drive, which needs to escrow to $2 million before they spend any. Nick Nicholas asked Epitome Energy President and CEO Dennis Egan if he were confident the equity drive would proceed on time to keep the air permitting on pace, given the change in matching dollars. Egan said he was confident in the drive and that Epitome Energy was committed to not making an additional ask of the city of Crookston for permitting.
Department of Ag has been a huge partner of this project from day one, and they allowed us to rework the language so that we can use that $1 million grant that was given to Epitome Energy for permitting and our EAW work. And the city of Crookston, right, on a number of occasions have come back and said we want to continue to support the growth of Epitome Energy and the development of it, and again put forward their commitment today on that $250,000 loan and what that looks like. But it is incumbent on Epitome Energy to continue our equity drive so that we can continue to leverage the dollars from the Department of Ag and the $1 million grant. And that was our commitment again today, is that every day that's what I think about, is how are we going to finance, raise equity, raise debt to build the soybean crush facility in Crookston.
Egan said a recent discussion with the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency had indicated their queue for permitting has a 5-month wait with a 5-month review process, and the permitting and EAW applications would take 7 months, increasing the time to groundbreaking out to about 17 or 18 months. Nick Nicholas asked if the permitting timeline would affect the Innovation Campus, and the short answer was yes. Egan explained that even though they are fundamentally different entities with different boards, the MPCA sees them as a co-development on a single location. Representative Deb Keel, who also attended the meeting, said the Innovation Campus was tied to the University of Minnesota Crookston, although they were not linked financially. Egan also informed the advisory committee that Epitome Energy had made the internal decision to move forward with building a 42 million bushel crush plant over the initial plan to start with 21 million bushels. Egan said the change would increase the initial cost for the facility to $215 million, up from the original projection of $150 million. Egan said that he'd also like to get a new land option agreement together that reflects the increase from 60 acres to 100 acres to satisfy equity investors about having the land for the project.
We had a document in place for the 60 acres, and then we wanted to be able to control that 100 acres. And so we're redoing that option agreement. We just have said we need to get that in place sooner than later. And so my goal is over the next 30 days is to craft that language and have an agreement to bring back to the advisory group so that we can sign those documents. It's just important that when you're raising equity, people want to know where are you going to be, where are these dollars going to be invested in, and where's that project? And our commitment has been to Crookston, and Crookston's commitment has been they've identified that land, and so let's just put that in writing and finalize that.
And Crookston City Councilman Jake Fee asked how that would affect the bonding bill for the city of Crookston. Cheetah Executive Director Craig Hoyseth said that the key was giving assurances to investors that Epitome would have the land option agreement on the land and will still show a community benefit for bonding.
The advisory committee was grappling this morning with the fact that we need to do a bonding bill into the legislature, and to do that, of course, that wants to serve the entire municipality. So the bonding money is not going to go just for Epitome, it's going to go for the Innovation Center, all the potential spin-off business. We've talked about vertical malt. So we want to make sure that $7 million is going toward all those different businesses and not just Epitome. The other piece of that puzzle is the land option agreement, where a lot of the players that are coming forward for the equity drive are asking, do we in fact have control of the land and that acreage? And Epitome needs to say yes to that. So we're going to work on the delicacies of that language, how the option can be presented, that Epitome does have control, but yet we still want to make sure we interface and can secure that bonding dollars if available.
Hoyseth also said he had spoken with Senator Mark Johnson about applying to have the sales tax on construction waived for the project, and that they needed to start moving forward on that. Hoyseth said they would work on the language to work with the Department of Revenue on securing that waiver.
We are talking about what that language will look like, that we can interface with Minnesota Department of Revenue and try and get the sales tax portion of the construction costs waived. Again, there's some work to do there down in the legislature, but we feel that we're ready and moving forward with both those bonding bills and the sales tax exemption.
According to Egan, Epitome Energy is also working with its Equity Drive team to create a new program for the local soybean growers. Egan said that due to the local growers struggling this fall, they intentionally haven't inserted themselves into a stressful harvest and instead will roll out the new investment package towards the end of November.
Over the last 6-7 weeks, we've been intentional not coming up and engaging the local growers. They've been struggling. They continue to struggle. Our neighbors are underwater, in mud, broken trucks, all of those things. So for us to come in and then insert ourselves while they're struggling and doing that just doesn't make a lot of sense. But when that is done, we will be rolling out a program for any local grower that invests in Epitome Energy. Not only will they see the improvement in their basis, but they will have a premium on every bushel of beans that they want to commit to the project if they're an equity investor. And so we'll roll that out to them probably sometime end of November, depending on how weather shakes out.
And Egan also stated that Epitome Energy has been gaining traction with large equity investment groups around the country.